Hello, I'm going to show you how to make a song like Yes and by Ariana Grande. This is kind of a housey style song, house kind of mixed with pop. It's very groovy, it's very fun. Let's get into it. I would like to say, one, I did this quickly. The singing in it is terrible, and there's a lot of nuance that needs to be sort of tweaked and fitted with, but this should give kind of a good high level vibe of how to sort of produce in this style. This is what I've got. That is how it sounds right now. So let's get into it. The drums are probably the most important thing here. I'm using Studio One and I'm using the Studio One pattern editor. 4 to the floor kick drum. Got this kind of smacky snare with obviously like a 2 and a 4 on the snare, and then this offbeat snare here. This constant hi-hat run on a 16th note, and then this open hi-hat. The open hi-hat's pretty important. It kind of has that like real driving kind of high-end sound that this sort of music really requires, I think. I would say like if I'd spent more time on this, I probably would have thrown in a few little extra bits of percussion just to kind of keep things interesting, little bits on the sides of like the pan spectrum, and I think a few more little variations, maybe double the length and add an extra kick here and there just to kind of make it feel organic as much as you can in this kind of genre. I think particularly with these kind of sounds, you really want to think a lot about the sound selection. This kick is maybe not the best example of that, but the snare, I was listening to the Ariana Grande song and I was like, okay, I need like a splatty kind of sort of snare, which is this. This open hi-hat is close, not quite there. I think it's just really important when you're trying to make a song like another type of song, another artist, just really think about the sounds. The sounds are kind of the core of it all. And then when you build it, it'll kind of be more cohesive and sound like what you're trying to chase. I also have this snare run using sample 1, a single note with a dip at the end. I just find that kind of makes this kind of nice loop variation. The bass also, it has quite an important role here of kind of gelling with the drums to give that bounce. The Ariana Grande track, there's a little bit more of off-grid feel. Right here, I've got everything just like perfectly quantized. If I was going to kind of mess around with this for longer, I'd probably drag stuff so it's slightly offbeat, maybe add some swing with the quantize, just again for it to kind of have that like that groove that's hard to get when you're just really on the grid and quantized. For what it's worth, I think this still sounds pretty good. It's got quite a bouncy sort of groove and rhythm. And I'm using a Studio One instrument, Mojito, which honestly, again, doesn't sound that great. I'd probably spend a bit more time trying to get a really nice sounding bass, but this kind of worked with what I was trying to do. By itself, it sounds awful, but when you kind of throw it in the mix with everything else, that high end allows it to sort of stick out a little bit more. All of these instruments are running into an all instrument bus with a compressor and a sidechain to the kick. I think this just really helps with that kick and that pulse, and it kind of just adds to the vibe quite a lot. As you hear in Yes and, there's this like vocal chop that kind of goes throughout. I just sang whatever came to mind. Like the vocals here are nothing to sort of hold a standard to. They're terrible. But I just recorded it in with this microphone and then I pitched it down, 12 or an octave, and I messed with the formant a little bit just to give it that kind of low octave sound.
I just wanna get it, I just wanna get it, I just wanna get it, I just wanna get it.
So I'm running that with auto tune, SSL to just kind of clean it up a little bit, a bit of saturation, more EQ, a side chain similar to the all instrument bus, and then this reverb. It's a bit choppy by itself.
I just wanna get it, I just wanna get it.
You can hear the cuts, but then when you throw it in with the rest of the stuff, it kind of has this like nice sort of robotic-y feel.
I just wanna get it, I just wanna get it, I just wanna get it, I just wanna get it.
So it's starting to feel good, starting to kind of come together. The piano here is also really important. It's got kind of a similar bounce to the bass line, just less often as the bass rhythmically, and a really glassy kind of sound, really trebly. I've got this dotted delay on it. So those two work really well together. And to do that, I'm using Keyscape with this LA Custom hard sound, just because, as I said, I really wanted that like attack and that glassiness to it. I also have this Vital Pad, which is something I just kind of whipped together. It has a slight delay in attack, so it's got that kind of offbeat feel. I'm just using saws with some chorus distortion, filtering, and reverb, and also some EQ and more reverb, and that sounds like this. And together, I feel like the piano has the attack and the Vital Pad has the kind of like swell. Kind of weird. Gives it kind of a nice texture, this sort of ambience that's quite nice. And then I have these strings using the modern violas session strings on Contact, and held out notes to fill the space. And as I said, with all these instruments, I'm running it into this all instrument bus with a compressor. And I feel like that feels pretty good. Vocally, if you were interested, I'm running, so this SM7B, running auto tune with these settings just to make it feel somewhat cleaner. Using the auto tune vocal EQ just to track the two harmonics, like the two bottom harmonics of the vocal. Just to kind of clean it up a little bit further. SSL to roll off some lows, boost some highs. Quite a fair bit of compression. The 76 by U80 Spark.
I don't feel anymore.
And then finally the mag on the Airband 20 kilohertz at 4.5 boosting.
I don't feel anymore.
Just cleaning it up and making it nice and bright, kind of poppy. Running that into the Valhalla Vintage Verb with a semi-short concert hall. And then Valhalla delay. Ooh, that should be 100.
I don't feel anymore.
Just to kind of have that swelling around.
I don't feel anymore. I try to open the door.
Then as for a verse, like that is kind of the chorus section. For a verse, I'd probably just drop the 16th notes and bring them to 8th notes and get rid of that hi-hat so it kind of drops away. Pull out some of the instruments. I've chosen to go with the Vital Pad just to give it a little bit more of that pulling feel, I guess. I'd probably also roll off some more of the bass. pull it back up when it hits the chorus. And yeah, that is how I would loosely produce a song similar to Yes and by Ariana Grande. Let me know if you'd like a more in-depth kind of tutorial on these sort of things. Like I wanted to keep this short, pretty high level. Obviously we can make this better. It's pretty raw as far as the production goes, but you can see that the building blocks are there to turn it into something that probably would sound good if we spent longer than 30 minutes on it. The vocals are also really critical in this kind of music. Make sure they're good. The vocal melodies and the lyrics, the singing needs to be really, really, really solid, I think, to make this sound as good as, Ariana Grande, one of the probably best singers in the world. But from a production and just kind of general vibe perspective, this is how to do that. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed it, hit like, hit subscribe. My name is Nick Rollo. I'm a producer and mixing engineer from Australia. If you need a producer or a mixing engineer, you can check out some of my work in the link in the description. If you're Studio One, there's some free presets as well linked below. Have a good day and I'll catch you next video.